Hey everybody, happy Halloween. It is October 31st, 2022. And speaking of Halloween, I want to bring up Halloween. I'm going to take a break from the midterm elections, which ends on November 4th. And I want to talk about Dia de los Muertos and Halloween. I'm a rideshare driver still. I'm driving everybody around and all this good stuff. Here in San Antonio, Dia de los Muertos celebration has been moved to the weekend. This is Monday, October 31st. Dia de los Muertos starts November 1st and ends November 2nd. But because they fall in the middle of the week, the celebration by the city has moved it to the previous weekend. Now the weekend just finished, so have the celebrations and all this good stuff. Now I was dropping off people to the celebration in the downtown area. One of the corners had a group of church-going Christians on the corner, or I don't know if they were Christians or not. Maybe they could have been Jews. I don't know. But they were making quotes out of the Bible, and obviously trying to save everybody's souls who was attending the family function, because this was in the daytime. This wasn't the late night partying crap. This was the daytime stuff where whole families were walking to the downtown area in this place called Hemisphere Park, where we have, a lot of celebrations, including lately Dia de los Muertos. And everybody has been, attending and having a good time. But of course, there's always got to be somebody objective to it. And I have to speak my mind, and I have to point out, guys, please don't listen to these churchgoers. And they are just churchgoers. Religious organizations. They're because they're about as sharp as bowling balls, dumb as a bag of rocks, because if they had done their studying, they would know Dia de los Muertos coincides with Christianity hand in hand. I want to first get rid of the superstition, the thing that so far has been documented as historic fact. The one historic fact is about it that is completely false, because it doesn't make any sense. Dia de los Muertos is the day of worshiping the dead, which is not true. Not even as far back as my indigenous ancestors. Nobody really worships the dead. How in the world are you going to pray to something that's already dead? That doesn't make any sense. You pray to a living God. You pray to a God of the dead. You can pray to a God of life. You can pray to whatever. But to pray to the dead, pray for the dead, to worship the dead rather, is just downright stupid. That makes no sense whatsoever. To worship the dead, that doesn't make any sense. And to this day, a lot of people still see that as fact. Historians, national leaders, religious leaders, and all this good stuff, and every single fool that follows, as opposed to the rest of us who would have read that. It's kind of like pluralizing the Lone Rangers. You can't really pluralize it because then you wouldn't be lone. You can't really worship the dead because there's no point in worshiping something that is dead. You see what I'm saying? It's a conundrum. It's a counterproductive thing. Now, Halloween begins with the dedication to remembering and pray for all faithfully departed, which is exactly what the Dia de los Muertos is. You're going to the grave sites of your loved ones or whoever, and you're either telling them, "Hi, I'm being a good boy. I hope you're doing well on the other side," and or forgiving the person that's dead. I forgive you for what you've done. Whether it be done to that person, to you yourself, or, whether that, somebody else that you deemed, was close to your heart, or to somebody that just victimized somebody else, some strangers, whether it be for a living or for a gang or for a purpose or for a intentful greed, or intentful act of harm. The thing is forgiveness, as we Christians know, goes a long way, even after we're already dead. You know, if you're a person that got into a fight with somebody and did some, and maybe killed another, like if you were a kid and you killed another kid, you're sentenced and whatever time you've done and all this good stuff, and you die. You know, the mother whose heart you've broken could live an extra 50 years. And on her dying deathbed, she could actually say, I forgive you, those who have trespassed against me or sinned against me. You know, and you who killed that woman's kid, if she's forgiven you, even though you're already in the next life, by the power of the Christian way, by the power of God, you will be forgiven of that sin. And so why in the world would Dia de los Muertos, another method of forgiveness, another method of praying to loved ones and letting them know that you're a good boy or girl here in the world of the living, and that they are still rest peacefully. You could still rest in peace. I am being a good person, and everybody here is taking care of each other. Love is the triumphant thing all around, and good, all this good stuff that they may or may not hear on the other side, unless God needs them to hear it, you know, for some reason or another, unless God needs us to actually send it out there to them, you know, whatever the case. But it's that, along with the power of forgiveness, that is expressed through the Dia de los Muertos celebration. Not so much the celebration, but the methods of prayer, you know. And a lot of Christians and churchgoers, particularly churchgoers, not so much Christians, but churchgoers, organizations of Christianity, they say, well, you can't do that because it's a paganistic, evil way. Well, technically, so is Halloween. Halloween originates out of the Celtic, Gaelic, and Samhain religions and culture society, which all have pagan roots, you know. But we all celebrate All Saints' Day or Halloween because of the simple fact that it's been Christianized. And that's the real thing right there. That's the thing right there, the thing to make note of right there. You know, although Christians will commemorate the departed and the deceased, you know, in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ at Dia de los Muertos, it's not recognized as a Christian thing throughout the churches of the world and the entire organization as a whole. Ergo, you've got people like those douchebags that I saw in the weekend right outside of Dia de los Muertos, preaching and spewing and nothing but spitting hate towards Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, when they should have done their studying and realized that even though it didn't start off as a Christian method of prayer and ceremonies, it has been accepted by tons of Christians of the Christian faith. Okay, it's not like Halloween where it's authorized by the Christian churches. Okay, and even still, that's debatable in some certain areas through some certain denominations. But I'll get to that in a minute. Halloween may not have been completely covered by the Christian church, but it has been adopted and put into effect by Christians and Christian organizations starting when Halloween was revised here in the States. Okay, again, it was a Celtic, Gaelic, and Samhain belief system, ceremony thing. Okay, it was pre-Christian, but the Christians adopted it and took it in. And that's really the bottom line concerning Dia de los Muertos. It's a method that just hasn't been Christianized, so to say, by religious organizations, by the Christian religious organizations. So why the guys over there at the ceremony outside spewing and hating and spitting and all this other crap? Well, there's an ugly reality to my to the organizations of my faith. Not so much my faith, but the organizations that are currently dominating the law and order of my faith, the law and order aspect. Churchgoers, or churchers as I like to say, churches always have to have a bad guy out of everything. If it's not Christian, it's evil. Okay? Harry Potter was the devil in a lot of my denominations of my faith. In a lot of the denominations of my faith, you know, and it was treated no differently than Dungeons and Dragons in when I was a kid in the 80s. When I was a child in the 80s, and Dungeons and Dragons was this cool game and all this stuff. Now, I never really played it, and I wasn't really good at it anyway, so I never really worried about it. I was one of those kids that played outside. But I never spat on it just simply because it's a game. But in the eyes of the church, it was the devil. It was just the devil. And which was another thing that didn't make much sense. D&D was evil. Something off of a movie was evil. Television was evil. Cobra was evil. Coming soon, Cobra Law, Cobra Kai will be evil. You know, and if there's not a church organization already that's spitting on them, you know, churchers always have to have a bad guy out of every single issue that has not been Christianized or church going, for that matter. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's dumb. Despite the fact that church, not so much church people, but people of my faith, you know, we go to the Dias de los Muertos, so we do the celebration part, sure. I'm almost 50, so I'm actually going in the daytime where the families are, because I'm really not into the wild nights anymore. If I was in my 20s, I'd be ignoring the family's part, and I'd be celebrating, getting drunk, and remembering the fallen, the departed, you know, in the night with the rest of the people. You know, I would have been partying. But now I just sort of like go into the daytime, and I'll see if I'll play a few games. But mostly I try food. I like food. I'm a foodie. I'll eat some foods, and then I'll, you know, maybe get a shirt, and then I'll go home. You know, lately I haven't been doing that. I've been working a lot here, and during these high time inflations, I'm actually surprised that people actually attending these things. But nevertheless, I mean, it happens, and you know, you got people that hate and people that are spewing hate. Tonight is Halloween. Tomorrow is the start of All Saints Day. Tomorrow is the start of the actual Dia de los Muertos, the actual ceremony where you go and pay visits to your churches, to your loved ones in the cemeteries. And there's a possibility of somebody taking it too far, no differently than they have at any parade, any get-togethers, as well as schools. Lately, schools have been under attack again. But throughout this week, where these religious or at least ceremonial days are coming up, starting tonight with Halloween, and let's all try to stay safe out there. And if you could, try to ignore anybody and everybody that preaches this hate towards you, their superstitions, their personal beliefs, that all of this is evil. Again, despite the fact that not so much Dia de los Muertos, but Halloween was derived and accepted and brought up by our Christian churches. It's been Christianized. Okay? So, you know, there should be no reason for hate. Which leads me to the final quote, which is going to be the title of this episode. Celebrate without bowing down to the hate. Okay? Celebrate without bowing down to the hate. You know? Don't let this stuff get on your nerves. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy Dia de los Muertos no differently than you would Halloween. a Christianized holiday. A Christianized day of ceremony and celebration of saying to your loved ones, miss you, and saying to those that you don't miss, I forgive you. Okay? It's as simple as that. Y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, signing out.